Thank you. The topic of my presentation today is regarding the re-architecting global talent strategies in the age of AI and digital globalized workplace, examining the implications for skills, work design, and HR in the emerging economies. Let me just move. Because of the fact that we know that there is an acceleration of AI and digital globalized workplaces nowadays, we see that AI has reshaped the global talent landscape. The global market share increasingly is defined by huge mobility, connectivity, and algorithmic, we can say, intelligence. Organizations nowadays compete not only for talent within physical borders, but also for a digital capability across virtual ecosystems which transcend national boundaries. And because of this new situation, the HR experts, professionals, field requires to be reconceptualized issues of HR management in terms of how talent is identified, developed, and related. So the issue which regards this digital transformation matter is that everything is reshaped in the organizations on the basis of how organizations design, work, manage talent, and generate value across international borders. There is a huge focus on emerging economies because of this digital acceleration, which transforms the competitive advantage and workforce capability in various areas, such as in Africa, Asia, Middle East. Especially in Middle East, we see quite progressive situations where the AI is supported also nationally from different rules and processes and regulations. So there is quite strong national governance support. And there is generally a strategic shift where over 40% of global employers are redesigning their talent strategies and systems so that to integrate this AI and data-driven decision-making, which is a very important area of concern regarding the contextualization of decision-making, the sensitivity of the human factor and the role of the human factor in this decision-making, besides the data and the quantity of the data. The research problem for this study is that while we have a lot of focus on AI, which promises greater efficiency and talent intelligence, HR systems readiness, though, to absorb this type of technologies remain unfortunately uneven in emerging markets. There is a problem of lack of data infrastructure, which creates many challenges for the HR professionals, as well as there is a problem of AI literacy and knowledge in order this efficiency the AI provides to be really implemented in the HR systems. We have a dual labor market where one is digitally empowered and globally integrated through the AI, whereas the other, which regards the human services, roles, and contributions, it is somehow excluded by these technological and institutional barriers. And this is because there is not a balance between the speed which takes place with the AI with what takes place in regarding the infrastructure of the HR systems. There is a big imbalance there. The key challenges is that there is a skill mismatch often and technological inequality, on the basis that I explained, although the AI as technology is very much progressed, on the other hand, not all the functions within the organizations have the infrastructure to welcome this acceleration of AI. There is a policy fragmentation, and this is because in any organization there are the existing policies, but these policies do not always align with this technological AI acceleration. There is the insufficient digital infrastructure, inadequate education systems. We see that even the universities do not prepare, besides this traditional curriculum, do not prepare graduates to deal with this digitized AI world, which means that it is an obligation, it is a challenge from the organizational side to help train, the need to train, to become organizational learning companies and business, to help these people to use the AI and the efficiency the AI, the benefits AI provides. And there is a limited policy coherence on the basis of being noted many contradictions, gaps, and problems of organizational governance, but also of national governance. We know that there are big gaps regarding legislation matters which relates to AI implementation. The key research questions regard the influence on talent strategies. How is digital globalization and AI adoption influence talent acquisition, development of talents, and talent retention strategies in the emerging economies? Which is the specific type, extent of this influence? What are the required capabilities? What all this new situation triggers, how it triggers the professionals and organizations in terms of what new skills, organizational capabilities, but also new HR competencies are required in order to sustain this competitiveness of people management strategies in AI global labor markets. There are barriers and enablers. So we examine also what barriers and enablers affect the transformation of HR practices in these emerging economies, in the new AI and global talent mobility workplace. The research methodology which was applied for this study was a philosophical approach on the basis of interpretivist paradigm approach, exploring through the interviews and the different perspectives and perceptions professionals had on the impact of AI on HR function, to see what are the meanings, which are the perceptions qualitatively and contextually, to be identified all these dynamics which shape HR practices in emerging economies. So we try to understand from the way the people perceive this new situation, to go deep into it, to see what lies behind us new situation, how they perceive the AI integration in their HR function. So we follow a qualitative design, allowing a more deep critical approach and insights into exploring which are the insights of decision making, of organizational learning, and what extent this organizational support takes place for people, and the capability building processes. What is the outcome of this organizational learning? And the rationale for this approach is that we try to see the strategic intent which is behind AI-enabled HR function, how through the AI we can enhance the inclusivity and strengthen more employability of people. Regarding the methodology for data collection, we applied an empirical study where we interviewed 24 participants between the period of January-April 2025. In this interview participated 10 HR directors and talent strategists, 8 policy and skills development officials, and 6 HR technology consultants. We had a semi-structured interviews. Each one lasted between 6 to 17 minutes, and it was conducted virtually via encrypted platforms. The places where these people were is people from companies which are located in Africa, Asia, and Middle East. And it was selected these places so that to have diversified data regarding digital development trajectories, processes, and procedures which they apply in their workplace. Also, we use some supplementary data, and we did documentary type of analysis of national HR policy papers, of international labor reports, and corporate sustainability documents, so that to see the organizational perspective in terms of the AI integration in their systems. Regarding the data analysis, we have followed a familiarization step, which regards how the transcription of all this data that we receive from interviews and from documents, trying to go deep into them to see what is the perceptions about the application of AI and the systems and the support the organizations provide to people. The next step was an initial coding generation of codes using the Nivo software. The third step is a pattern identification, where we try to cluster themes deductively and inductively from the interviews of what was obvious and was kind of hidden in these answers that were provided. Also thematic refinement, like to have a cross-validation through peer debriefing. And at the final step was a synthesis, trying to conceptualize the outcomes from all this, so that to establish a kind of mapping summary of findings. The key themes regarding the literature review is that the focus of the study was on talent management foundations. We know that the talent management theory started from the War of Talents around 1990s, where it was found that talent, people who have the potentials or have the skills to provide to the organization, to add to the organization value through their skills and competencies. So the talent management was emphasized a lot. Then from this emphasis on specific skills and capabilities, it was moved to more intense capability ecosystems, which the talents and the potential of developing talented people does not regard only the within organization environment, but of many other actors, which has to do with the sector, with the industry, with the society, which impacts organizations, business, integrating human capital theory, resource-based value theory, where the talent management was considered as a strategic resource-based value for the organizations, and institutional theory, which examines what impacts internally the institutions via the development of processes, procedures, organizational strategies, etc. The AI transformation, another subject area, where moving from through the AI from peripheral tool to more central driver of HR transformation, enhancing decision making, but also with this integration we note many ethical concerns. Digital globalization is another theme where it is a transnational flow of data, more intense knowledge, interdisciplinary knowledge, and more digital services which redefine the competitive advantage besides and beyond physical assets. And the emphasis on skills evolution, which is the through the competencies, as the term that we use nowadays, where there is a shift from job-based structures to skills-based ecosystems, demanding for people, for HR, for organizations, adaptability, more analytical thinking, and emotional intelligence because of the issues that we will examine later on. The main findings from this study is that there is a transformation nowadays of talent strategy with the integration of AI. For example, the regional HR director in the United Arab Emirates says we no longer think in terms of local versus
Prof,
expatriate
you have
talent.
just 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes.
Our teams are hybrid. Thank you, Dr. Data. Our teams are hybrid, digital, and distributed. So the key challenge is not where people are, but how well they are digitally connected. The key observations was that there is a shift from traditional expatriation to digital mobility, emergence of talent ecosystem thinking, managing internal and external contributors, extended workforce models, nowadays combining employees, contractors, and gig workers, are more pluralistic talent systems with fluid roles and decentralized systems. Also, there are some strategic applications regarding AI. It helps recruitment screening and candidate matching. The AI helps towards predictive workforce planning instead of meeting everyday daily tasks, which was the manpower planning before. More assistance to performance appraisal and analytics. It helps towards attrition modeling and future skills demand forecasting. The key challenges is that there is an uneven adoption between large multinationals and local enterprises. There is limited data infrastructure, which poses a big problem for the HR professionals. Many ethical concerns regarding biases, insufficient AI literacy. People cannot understand always what takes place because of lack of training, and more contextual sensitivity issues because AI is introduced to organizations, but it's not always contextualized to the specific area of the organization. So what we see the emerging HR role is nowadays is that become more translators between data and human judgment, combining analytical and ethical competencies. It is more focused, another finding, on skills and capability frameworks. We need adaptive learning where continuous reskilling and learning agility replace this static expertise, which was till now. More emphasis on skills-based teams. So we have a fluid movement across projects based on capability clusters and not on the job titles and roles. And more emphasis on analytical thinking because we need data literacy and AI fluency, which become essential competencies nowadays, and more emotional intelligence through expression of empathy, more creativity, collaboration as competitive advantages. People need to not to take for granted the data, but to translate. So the human judgment is of critical importance. And because the HR deals with a human factor, has to show empathy, to be agile, to be flexible, and to give space to people for innovation, not just to misinterpret or misuse through biases and algorithms the data that AI provides. There are institutional barriers and enablers. Barriers regard policy misalignment between innovation and workforce readiness. We see that the organizations adopt AI, but they are not ready in terms of the infrastructure that they have. There are outdated educational curricula, as we mentioned, which are disconnected from this. What is needed are the graduates to have in order to be prepared for digital labor markets. There is an insufficient digital infrastructure investment. There is cultural resistance to automation. There are many countries like in Indonesia where they see the AI.
I'm so sorry. If you can just conclude.
Yes, I conclude. So there are many issues. The key issues that AI and digital globalization are transformative forces reshaping global HRM today. And the key contribution of the studies that developed and validated the AI-enabled global talent strategy. It extended global talent management theory. It positioned HR as multi-level capability system and demonstrated that HR leaders are institutional entrepreneurs shaping policy and national capacity. Technology alone cannot deliver competitiveness without parallel investment in human and institutional capability. The key recommendations for practice is that it is needed strategic repositioning, where HR leaders must act as digital architects, more focus on skill-based models to move from rigid job hierarchies to flexible skills architectures, more inclusive participation to widen the access to training for unrepresented groups, more ethical governance to ensure that AI systems are transparent, auditable, and aligned with ethical standards, more cross-sector collaboration, build partnerships between business, academia, which will help for the training and the AI literacy. There are also implications for policy to develop the need to develop integrated national strategies, linking technology, education, and labor policy, to invest in digital infrastructure, not only to use AI, but to create this readiness, the organizational readiness with the appropriate infrastructure, to embed data literacy and ethical AI across education systems, to establish the appropriate regulatory framework for AI accountability, which is missing, and this creates a lot of ethical concerns, to encourage multilateral partnerships for capacity building. And the future research directions regard to compare
Prof, just one
studies,
line.
yes,
Prof,
on
they have to
AI,
get the-
more
yeah.
quantitative testing to be more sector-specific variation analysis, and more ethical governance and application of human experience of AI at work. Thank you. Sorry for taking more of the time.
Thank you, Prof.